gotten so much mileage out of, mobile devices and webcams is because we've really figured out how to kind of like work around kind of the hardware limitations and the technical limitations of the user. Hey everybody, I am Frank Gannon and this is Paul Gannon, and we are the creators of Remote Directed Video, an end-to-end live action video production solution that makes it easy for businesses to create high quality video content anywhere in the world. And we actually do that using mobile devices and webcams. And we use, iPhones, we use Android, we sometimes use iPads and tablets, and we've used plenty of different webcams. But today's conversation is going to be focused around the iPhone and the webcam, which are our two most common cameras that we use on our shoots. And the cameras we use are oftentimes, the cameras that either our clients or our clients' customers have in many cases. So usually, the iPhone that's already in their pocket, or the iPhone or the webcam that's built into their laptop. But we also send out a bunch of webcams. We've tested probably half a dozen now, wouldn't you say, Paul?
At least, yeah.
Yeah. And definitely at least. I guess in the last year, we've probably tried like half a dozen. And surprisingly, we ended up with a webcam that I wouldn't have thought would be our go-to recommendation, but you actually picked it out pretty early on, and it's continued to be the best one.
Well, I just want to preface this conversation with saying that we're not trying to help you buy like your new iPhone or webcam for your next birthday party shoot. This is if you're doing professional video production and you're doing it in a programmatic way. So not for just one video, but if you're trying to do programmatic video recording with all your staff or members of your staff, your customers, your partners, and things like that.
Right. Yeah. So we produce like probably a couple hundred videos a year, I would say, on average, doing this remotely. And of course, most businesses aren't going to do that unless you're like a video production company. But, a lot of our clients are doing like pretty considerable volume. So, we're always trying to find solutions that are both convenient, but also offer like a real high quality. And we also have to be, as a video production company, considerate of like many different, budgets and camera availabilities and weird situations where, we're working with, we're never recording the same person twice. These are all things that might be different from your situation. So we're going to talk about some like cameras that we use and what we prefer, but, really it's going to depend on your very specific situation. Who you're recording, where you're recording them, what types of videos you're doing, all these things. And we're going to try to cover a lot of those in this quick conversation. But of course, we might miss some stuff. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask in the comments. And yeah, like I said, we've done like hundreds of videos remotely now. Probably mostly with iPhones and webcam. We've shot with just about everything. But we've really found the iPhone and webcam to be the most reliable solutions, kind of vectoring in on all these things of like convenience, quality, versatility, cost. Either, especially if you're dealing in the US, like very high likelihood of people having iPhones. So, the ease of that solution, sometimes the best solution is just the easiest one. And webcam or iPhone, are a great solution because they're just really high quality. You're going to get good audio. Most people kind of know how to use it, and they're pretty versatile. So, maybe for additional costs, you're looking at a tripod or an external microphone. But in a lot of use cases, you can get away without that stuff too, because the iPhone is just so good and versatile. To back things up a little bit, we should also point out that we also use a specialized remote recording software. How you're recording, what software you're actually using is going to make a difference. If you're recording by yourself and you don't have a director on the other end of the line like we do in our remote capture sessions, you're going to be using the full power of that iPhone. And in fact, you could probably do even more powerful stuff if you're able to, if you have the technical cinematography chops to do it on your own. You could get even more power out of your iPhone if you were doing it 100% locally. On the other side of that is if you're, using your iPhone to go through something like, FaceTime or Skype or Zoom, that's going to be a real kind of horrible picture quality because you're going up to the cloud and back before that's captured. So again, these are all things to consider that are going to affect what's going to be the ideal situation for your case. But that said, there's probably no real wrong answer. For most simple videos, a webcam or an iPhone, I think, is going to get the job done.
Yeah, I would agree. I think some of our other considerations, just to give everyone a better idea of what we're dealing with. We're dealing with subjects who are on their own. So with our system, you have to be not only your own gaffer and your own camera assistant and all these other things. So we need sort of simple, and the plug and play capabilities of especially webcams is great. They just plug in the webcam and their computer says, do you want to use the webcam? We need permission. Then you're off to the races. So that's good. And it also comes down to quality. So there are many different types of webcams. We used to only replace webcams when they were shooting in 720 a lot. I've got a laptop that shoots in 720, and we can shoot in 1080 or 4K. And so part of our search was for a webcam that could meet that qualification. So we're dealing with an untrained, essentially in video, an untrained audience or subjects. We've got a cost issue with regard to quality. So our system can also shoot DSLRs, and you can hook our system up to a Blackmagic, Pocket Pro Cinema camera and shoot in, crazy resolution. And well, you can only capture in 4K with our system, but you can, set your field of view and just so many different things. But if I send a Canon, DSLR to somebody, I got to train them how to use that. So that's part of it. And then we're also, another thing is consistency. So if you are shooting CMO on Monday and your CTO on Tuesday and your CEO on Wednesday, it'd be kind of nice if they all had the same kind of look and feel to them, because there really are very big differences in the use of cameras. So even, I'm using one type of webcam right now, and you're using another type of webcam right now, and you can sort of see the difference. Not to mention the fact that a lot depends on your set and lighting and things like that. All so right. I'm in front of a rather large window and a light. So I'm pretty well lit, and I mean that in a true lighting sense of the word. Not Friday yet, but so those are some of the considerations that we're trying to do. And you want to talk a little bit about the image and audio quality, like what's better, what's worse? That's a big
thing. So again, you can kind of get good enough quality from either option. I guess, before we, forget this point, audio is very important as well. And without a doubt, between these two, the iPhone is going to have better audio. And it's just something about the sophisticated microphones that are supposed to work everywhere that is just really good at like pinpointing the speaker and capturing that. Whereas webcam, which actually as a sample, we are both using webcams. We're going to clean this up in post, but it would be considerably when I listen to this after we're done recording, it's going to be pretty bad. Luckily, we have post-production stuff to fix it, and it's great at it and going to be better at it every day. But even with iPhones, we often encourage our subjects or our clients to get microphones for those subjects because the audio quality is still not great with an iPhone.
I would describe it as good, but could be better. It's perfectly, we can live with iPhone. Well, we live with the quality of the audio and all these things. So
almost everything can be fixed in post. Really, as far as audio goes, you just want to make sure that the stream is clean. There's no pops or clicks or trains in the background, things like that. Everything else can be pretty much fixed. But yeah, the quality is pretty much just as good on either of these systems. Again, it's really going to come down to what software you're using to record it. that's going to have a much bigger impact on the quality of the video. With our remote recording software, you do get a little bit more control with the iPhone, just because there's like ways to control exposure and things like that, which 99% of webcams just can't do. But again, it's all going to depend on your situation. If you have a specific question about your situation, let us know in the comments. We'll be happy to try to help out.
The next issue I'll raise is form factor. That's really important to me. As I said, our subjects are our assistant camera people. They are our gaffers. They do everything. And so what works really best for us is to make sure that people have a natural light source that is illuminating them. And the reason for that, again, is if we send out lights, which we do very rarely, and we used to do it more frequently in the past, but it's very rare, because now that person has to know how to set up lights and to, and you can spend a half an hour or an hour with our director online going, move it over here, turn it down another 10 degrees, and it's just not as efficient. So what works really well for us is making sure that the camera has a natural light source behind it.
Right.
Now, that makes it difficult to shoot late at night. You can't do that when there's no sun at all. But for most of the time, we're shooting during business hours, and wherever that happens to be, that tends to, there tends to be during daylight. And I will tell you that my webcam is on top of my monitor, which weighs about 40 pounds, and it's a really big monitor. And that's a lot harder to move in front of light source than this. That's my iPhone attached to a tripod that we used to send to people. We do different tripods now. But, if the lighting isn't right here, because they move it 6 inches to the left, and you can, that sort of thing. That makes a big difference, and that's a real consideration. If you don't have trained people and you need natural light, the iPhone is a much better form factor. Not to mention that it usually has better light, the sensor is more sensitive and things like that. So form factor is a big deal.
Yeah, I think you made me think of something that, I think one of the reasons we've gotten so much mileage out of, mobile devices and webcams is because we've really figured out how to kind of work around kind of the hardware limitations and the technical limitations of the user, with things like lighting and, post-production, where we don't really have to, rely so much on good cameras and things like that, or expensive cameras. I would say iPhones are very good cameras. We've kind of figured out ways to kind of work around the limitations of this stuff. And I think that's an important thing to point out, especially if you're not shooting with a super wide range of different subjects around the world, or maybe you're doing stuff in office where you just have all your executives coming in and recording a 5-minute thought leader piece every week, something like that. You can kind of optimize your situation to really elevate it even further. Like you said earlier, if you want to set up a DSLR in an office, get a $20 light off of Amazon, you can really take things to the next level and do pretty incredible things, and make it easier and all those stuff.
One thing to mention, I think we're mostly talking within the context of talking head videos like this. If you're shooting B-roll, the webcam's not going to work. iPhone's going to be much, much better for that.
Yeah.
But, in terms of shooting talking head videos, webcams are fine, and they're great. As a matter of fact, they're equal to iPhones, provided that all the other factors are where they need to be.
Yeah, there's something kind of freeing about the limitations of the webcam in a way. You can only do certain things with it. So, if you're going to be talking into a camera, it's great for that. If you're going to be doing other stuff, maybe not.
Let's talk a little bit about cost. By far, the cheapest option is a webcam. So the webcam that we use costs, how much? Like $30, $50? I can't remember.
It's perpetually on sale and fluctuating, but yeah, it's like $30, something like that.
Yeah. And we drop ship it from Amazon, and just every single time somebody says they want to use a webcam and they need a webcam that shoots 1080 4K, we just punch that button on Amazon and off it goes.
Yeah, we used to try saving costs by like checking to see if the subject already had a 1080 webcam, and we'd have them do a camera test and all these things. Now, if they don't know, if they're not sure, we just send them out. They're so affordable, and it just again brings consistency and ensures a certain level of quality, and it barely costs a thing.
I should say that we prize repeatability and efficiency, speed a lot. So our clients like want their video now, and
Right.
so waiting for the video to show up or not show up, or the
Yeah.
webcam, things like that. I will point out, I'm noticing another problem with webcams. Like you can't set the exposure, so you may notice my background changing
Mhm.
as it refocuses on me whenever I move a little bit. So you'll notice that the shades of the red wall behind me get changed. So
Yeah.
another issue with webcams that may
Yeah.
cause you to notice that you might have to shoot that little section over again. We're not going to do that.
Yeah, we've had that realization before. Actually, I can think of times when we were shooting on location back in the day when we had issues like that. But yeah, I think iPhone or webcams are really good for again eliminating kind of another variable and are great, especially in situations where you're dealing with a bunch of different subjects where you don't maybe not everyone has a company iPhone, for example, right? Where you're not sure like what laptop they might have or what kind of phone they might have in their pocket or if they have a laptop at all or something to plug a webcam into. With a webcam you can kind of again bring consistency by having the same camera go out to every person and not having to worry about setting up their iPhone or making sure how making sure that they download the app properly or submit their video correctly, things like that.
I will point out that this is a real fringe issue. If you're working with an older population that maybe doesn't really not very tech savvy, the webcam is really the easiest. You just put it on top of your monitor and plug it in. A lot of laptops have monitors. I have webcams, but older monitors, older PCs, laptops are going to more likely have a 720. And we even every now and then see 480 webcams and things like that. So sending them a new webcam, I think, is in the interest of efficiency and quality is the way to go. They put it on top of their monitor, they plug it in, and they're off to the races.
Well, if you have any questions out there, folks, please let us know in the comments and give us a like on this video if you found it helpful. And if you need to produce more video content for your business, be sure to check us out at thoughtcastmedia.tv. Until next time.
Adios.